When I started Feldman Home Services, my handyman business, my goal was really just to learn entrepreneurship so that I could take everything that I was doing and bring it into my classroom, document the process for my students to follow. I never actually intended on that being a long-term type of business. That's something that I would transition out of teaching and become this handyman as a full-time job. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that wasn't necessarily my passion, and I'm kind of past the age where that would have made sense anyways. My hope was that students would be able to follow along with the footsteps and path that it is that I pursued so that they could start their own businesses, because I see it every single year where there's students that start up a mobile detail business or a window washing business or a landscaping company or something like that, and they get this great traction, but they always do it under the table, and that leads to all kinds of other problems. And I wanted my students to know how to legally set this up and start a business realistically. And I could tell them all day long out of a textbook how to do it, but not necessarily from experience. So it is worth noting, knowing that I never was intending to leave the classroom, there were some very, very profitable days that made me have some considerations about the future and what it was I was going to do with the business. I realized really quickly with some calculated steps that forming a business wouldn't necessarily take that long. I really didn't know how long this would take. On paper, I could say, oh, yeah, well, this would take a week or 3 days or 4 days. But after all of my experience, I found that it is very viable to get a business up and running under a month with all the paperwork, all the documentation, all the legalese, the marketing, and have a viable business that is profitable, that you can run, that could become sustainable. Eventually, it stopped feeling like a side hustle and more of a job, like it was an extra job. And my intention was eventually to shift this over to be less of a self employment type of a deal and more of like a business ownership, with the goal of hiring students so that I could take them under my wing and be able to show them how to do this as well. There was some red tape in the way, as well as time and logistics. And frankly, the business was just getting in the way of my family and ability to just have some mental wellness and downtime on my own. The next phase, if I was to have kept going, would have been to hire employees and make repeatable types of processes where I would be able to take a student with me, show them exactly how to do a job, and then let's say it was like landscaping, or it was green waste bin cleaning, or fire readiness preparation on the side of a home, show them how I do it at that specific property. And then from there, they know how to do it, and now they can do it on their own, where it's no longer active income on my side, but rather passive income being created by me having employees, turning it away from self-employment into business ownership, which would have just been a different shift there. There's a bunch of things that I learned in this process. Most notably, I would absolutely have outsourced some of the, I don't want to call it busy work, but logistical pieces, bookkeeping 100%, the accounting side of things. I learned that I genuinely enjoy making videos, which is not something that I thought I would do, but here I am. Business experience made entrepreneurship teaching far more authentic for me as well. I started replacing my busy work that was in the classroom of, some of the worksheets that are just like, all right, this will take up a day in class, and shifted into more of the headspace of, if you were actually going to start up a business, what would you need to do and what are the steps and how do I incorporate that into a lesson so that you can find value in it? And instead of just going in to check the box and do the assignment to get the grade, you're doing it and you're getting those, for lack of better word, social media dopamine hits of, I get this, I like this is important, I understand the why, this makes sense to me. As such, I took all of my content and I'm converting it over to a platform where I sell all of this on Teachers Pay Teachers, so that hopefully there's teachers out there that are finding this information and I can save them some time and headaches in their classroom, and they can use it to engage their students with real world applicable content. They all come with slides, worksheets, projects, assessments, and classroom systems, what I talk about often with the whole path of entrepreneurship. At this moment, I really just wanted to close out this journey, this Feldman Home Services business creation and entrepreneurial startup pathway for people to see so that they can show their students, or if you're a student out there, that you can follow along so you know the exact steps that you need to take to form your business legally so that you can scale and get bigger and take all of these steps to cross the next boundary and do something great. For now, this channel will be pivoting back towards classroom content and project-based learning, and that concludes my presentation.